In a world where everyone is screaming to be seen, the most powerful people are the ones who choose to remain invisible. You scroll every day. You see smiling faces, perfect couples, luxury cars, flawless skin, and carefully edited happiness. But somewhere between those stories, you notice something strange. Some people never post. No selfies. No life updates. No motivational quotes. No look at me moments. They just watch. Quietly. And the truth is, that silence is not weakness. It's a psychological weapon. Most people think non-posters are shy, insecure, or antisocial. But psychology shows something disturbing. The people who don't post are often the ones who understand human nature the best. They see what social media really is. A stage. A performance. A desperate attempt to be validated. Every post says, "Please see me. Please approve of me. Please tell me I matter." But silent people don't ask. They observe. There is a hidden rule in human behavior. The more someone talks about their life, the more they are trying to convince themselves it's real. People who post constantly are not sharing happiness. They are defending it. They are afraid that if nobody sees their life, it might not matter. But non-posters already know who they are. They don't need an audience to feel alive. You see it everywhere. A couple goes on vacation. One partner records everything. The other just looks at the sunset. The one with the phone is trying to turn a moment into proof. The silent one is actually living it. Psychologists call this external validation dependency. When your brain learns to need likes, your peace becomes fragile. Your joy becomes rented. Your identity becomes public property. But when you stop posting, you take it back. There's another uncomfortable truth. Social media is designed to train people to perform. Filters, angles, captions, trends. You don't show your life. You edit it. And the more you edit, the more disconnected you become from your real self. Silent people feel this early. They sense that something is wrong when a beautiful moment feels incomplete unless it's uploaded. So they stop. Not because they are afraid, but because they are aware. The mind of a non-poster works differently. While others are thinking, "How does this look?" they are thinking, "How does this feel?" That difference changes everything. When you post your life, you turn it into content. And content is judged. But when you keep your life private, it stays sacred. Your failures are not entertainment. Your love is not for comments. Your pain is not for strangers. It belongs to you. That is called psychological ownership. And humans protect what they own. Here's the scary part. People who post a lot slowly lose their sense of self. They start to feel invisible when they are offline. They feel anxious when nobody reacts. But silent people feel the opposite. They feel most real when nobody is watching. They don't disappear when the internet goes quiet. They become stronger. That's why non-posters often feel emotionally deep. They think more. They notice more. They feel more. Because their attention is not leaking into a screen. It's staying inside their own mind. You might have felt this too. That urge to post something. And the strange relief when you decide not to. That relief is power. It means you chose your inner world over public approval. The people who don't post aren't hiding. They are protecting something. Their peace. Their mystery. Their identity. And in a world that profits from exposure, privacy becomes rebellion, the dark psychology of likes. Every time someone taps the post button, something dangerous happens in their brain. Not socially. Not emotionally. Chemically. Your brain doesn't know what Instagram is. It doesn't know what Facebook is. It only knows reward. Likes. Hearts. Comments. Views. These are not features, they are dopamine triggers. The same chemical released when you gamble, you eat sugar, you get praised, you feel desired. So when someone posts a photo and waits, they are not waiting for feedback. They are waiting for a chemical hit. And this is where silent people become terrifying. They step away from the drug. They refuse to attach their self-worth to a number on a screen, while others become emotionally addicted to approval. Non-posters stay neurologically free. That's not small. That's power. Psychologists call this dopamine outsourcing. When your happiness depends on something you don't control, your mood rises when likes rise. Your mood falls when nobody reacts. You become emotionally owned by the crowd. But non-posters never give that control away. They regulate their emotions internally. They don't refresh their phone to check if they still matter. They already know. And here is the uncomfortable truth. People who post the most often feel the least. They are not sharing joy. They are trying to manufacture it. A beautiful meal feels better when it's posted. A relationship feels more real when it's seen. A success feels valid when it's applauded. But take away the audience, and the emptiness shows. Silent people don't need to inflate their experiences. They don't need strangers to confirm their life is happening. They experience it directly, which makes their emotional system far more stable. This is why non-posters often seem calm. Not because their lives are easier, but because their happiness isn't being auctioned to the internet. They are not emotionally volatile. They are not refreshing their worth every 5 minutes. They don't live in digital anxiety. There's another layer to this. When someone posts constantly, they start performing even when they are alone. They think in captions. They feel in camera angles. They remember in thumbnails. Their brain becomes a marketing department for their own identity. But silent people don't brand themselves. They just exist. That's why they feel real. And here's something few people realize. The more you perform, the more you lose touch with who you really are. Because performance requires approval. And approval requires pleasing others. And pleasing others slowly erases the self. Non-posters protect themselves from that. They don't sell their personality. They keep it. The algorithm loves people who post. But life loves people who are present. That's the trade. And silent people choose life. Most people think attention is power. But in reality, the one who doesn't chase attention controls it. Every time someone posts, they are stepping forward and saying, "Look at me." Every time someone stays silent, they are forcing the world to wonder. And the human mind hates uncertainty. Silence creates curiosity. Mystery creates attraction. And attraction creates power. That's why the quietest people in the room are often the ones everyone keeps watching. They don't need to announce themselves. Their absence already does. There is a psychological law called scarcity bias. The less available something is, the more valuable it feels. When someone posts everything, their life becomes common. When someone shares nothing, their life becomes rare. And humans chase rare things. People who post all the time are easy to read. You know what they eat, where they go, who they love, what they think. There is no mystery left. But with silent people, you never know. And that not knowing creates intrigue. You start imagining who they really are. That imagination gives them control. Social media flips reality. The loudest voices look powerful. But the quiet ones are the ones being studied. Who do people watch more closely? The person who talks nonstop, or the one who barely speaks? The mind always focuses on the unknown. That's why people who don't post often feel intimidating without trying. They don't overshare. They don't explain. They don't justify. They let others fill in the blanks. And whatever you don't say, the world makes bigger. There is another dark truth. When you post constantly, you give people ammunition. Your weaknesses, your habits, your mistakes, your emotional patterns. Everything is documented. Silent people leave no trail. They are harder to judge, harder to manipulate, harder to control. That's not introversion. That's strategic invisibility. And here's what scares people the most. Someone who doesn't need to be seen, cannot be pressured. They don't need validation. They don't need approval. They don't need applause. They already belong to themselves. That makes them emotionally dangerous. Most humans live in reaction. They post to get reactions. They speak to get reactions. They behave to get reactions. Silent people do not. They choose when to reveal. They choose when to engage. They choose when to be known. That is not social weakness. That is emotional sovereignty. You don't control people by being loud. You control situations by being unreadable. And non-posters are very hard to read. There is a moment every social media user experiences, even if they never admit it. They open an app. They scroll. They see someone else living, someone else traveling, someone else winning, someone else smiling. And quietly, they compare. Comparison is not a flaw. It is a biological reflex. But when comparison becomes constant, it becomes poison. This is where silent people separate from the crowd. They still see the world, but they don't let the world define them. Most people use social media to answer one dangerous question. Am I enough? Likes become numbers that measure self-worth. Followers become proof of importance. Comments become emotional oxygen. But non-posters do something radical. They refuse to ask the question. They don't let a screen decide their value. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control. It means your happiness, confidence, and identity come from inside you, not from other people's reactions. These people don't feel invisible when nobody is watching. They feel free. There's something quietly powerful about someone who can sit in silence without feeling small. No phone, no audience, no proof, just themselves, and still feel complete. That is emotional independence. People who constantly post are usually running from something. Loneliness, insecurity, fear of being forgotten. Posting becomes a way to stay visible. But silent people have already made peace with being unseen. They know that the people who truly matter don't need daily updates to remember them. There is a strange confidence that comes from not explaining your life. You don't have to justify your choices. You don't have to defend your pace. You don't have to package your struggles into something palatable. You just live. And that kind of living is rare. Most of the world is busy proving they are happy, proving they are loved, proving they are successful. Silent people are busy being tired, being curious, being lost, being human, without turning it into content. And here is something people don't realize until it's too late. The more you show the world who you are, the more the world starts telling you who you should be. But when you stay quiet, you get to decide that for yourself. There is a deep, uncomfortable fear hiding behind most online behavior. The fear of being forgotten. People post because they are scared that if they go quiet, they will disappear. That their existence will fade without a digital footprint. But here's the paradox. The people who post the least are often the ones who are remembered the most. Because they show up in real life. They listen. They look you in the eyes. They are present. And presence is unforgettable. When you stop posting